When deputies first questioned the woman about whether she had run over her husband, she desperately denied it, swearing to God she didn't do it. She insisted she had turned around and driven back. She frantically asked if Billy, her husband, was still alive. When an officer asked if she wanted him to be honest with her, she begged him not to tell her. But the truth came anyway. Her husband was dead, and she would be charged with reckless homicide by motor vehicle. She continued to insist she didn't hurt him, swearing she didn't, saying there was no way she could have hurt him. On a quiet late October night in Forest County, Wisconsin, deputies received a chilling 911 call that would change everything. The caller reported that there was a person at his house, right on Highway 8 in Leona. The dispatcher confirmed the location and asked if it was right across from where the caller lived. The man confirmed it was just 100 yards up the road. When asked for his name, he identified himself as Donnie Britton. The dispatcher asked about the person's condition. The caller said he was hurt pretty badly. When asked to clarify, he confirmed the man was hurt and lying in the middle of the street, all cut up. The dispatcher assured him they would get an officer there right away. The caller told authorities about a man later identified as Donald Britton Jr. lying badly injured in the middle of the road. Before long, deputies arrived to find him dead. Soon, their investigation led straight to the person who would become the main suspect, his own wife. When deputies arrived, they spoke with a woman who mentioned something about someone pushing him out and needing to go after that person. When asked what she knew, she said he was driving her Pebble, referring to her truck. Officers asked what happened next. She said she was watching because she was weird like that, looking out the door. When asked if she had been at Barb's place or the bar, she didn't give a clear answer. Authorities quickly focused on the woman captured in the footage, 50-year-old Mary Jane Terry. She was now at the center of a shocking case, accused of running over and killing her own husband with a pickup truck. But when questioned, she stopped short of fully admitting what happened. Officers asked if she was at her house or the store. She said the store. When they asked what happened, she said she saw it. She saw the truck stop. When officers asked for clarification about her truck stopping, she confirmed it was her truck. Then when asked what happened next, she said she didn't see anything after that, so she ran out of the house. Officers asked what happened when she ran out. She said he was there. She got in the truck and drove it home. When asked where he was at that moment, she said right there. Officers then asked directly if she ran over him. She said no. Officers asked what happened then and how he ended up where he was now. She said he was already laying there when she arrived. She said she was scared, so she drove the pickup home. Officers confirmed that he had been driving the truck, her truck. They asked for the man's name. She identified him as Donnie Britton. When they confirmed he was driving her truck, she said yes. Officers asked how he ended up outside of the truck. She said she didn't know because she wasn't with him. She was at her house. When officers clarified that when she showed up, he was already on the ground, she said yes. They asked if she took the truck and brought it home. She confirmed yes. Officers expressed disbelief, asking if she took the truck home and left him there. Again, she said yes. When asked if she saw another vehicle in the area, she said no. She insisted she didn't even see him laying there, swearing to God she didn't see him. Officers asked again if she ran him over. She swore to God she didn't, saying she had turned around. Officers asked where the vehicle was now. They said they would walk with her over there. Someone told Mary they would stay right there while she went with the officer. She was told someone would be right there. She cried out that she had just run him over. Mary guided the deputy to the exact spot where she claimed she discovered the pickup, insisting her husband was already lying in the road before she even touched the vehicle. Officers asked if there was anyone else outside who may have seen what happened. When asked again if anyone else was there who might have witnessed the incident, she said no. They asked for her first name. She said Mary and identified herself as his wife. When asked if she noticed that she went over anything when she turned around, she insisted she didn't. She said she just turned around and drove over there. She swore she didn't even have the key fob, he had the fob on him. Officers confirmed her first name was Mary and her last name was Terry. When asked who the vehicle was registered to, she confirmed it was registered to Mary Terry. An officer called out asking if there was anything on the truck. He told Mary to hold on and said she was going to be the driver. Mary protested that she didn't drive it. The officer reminded her that she had just told him she drove it from the scene. She said she turned around and came back. The officer pointed out that she had walked over to the location. She insisted she had walked from the house and asked for confirmation. When officers asked how the truck got back to her house, she admitted she drove it. The officer clarified that she drove the truck from the scene back to her house. She confirmed that's what she was saying. The officer told her to hold on a second. When Mary tried to go somewhere, officers told her they didn't think she should go over there, asking her to hang out where she was. As shown in the footage, deputies came across the suspect's truck parked directly in front of her house. Its front end was badly damaged from a recent impact. Moments later, Mary noticed a familiar deputy, someone who had known the couple for more than 2 decades. She tried once again to explain her version of events. Mary told Billy she didn't do anything. Billy said he didn't know what to tell her, but all he could say was that her truck ran him over. She insisted it wasn't her and that she was home. Billy asked who might have been driving it then. She said she didn't know he was driving it. Another officer interrupted, telling Billy to hold on. The officer explained that Mary had just told him that the husband drove the truck from the bar or from the house up to where he was found. She went over there, didn't see him there, got in the truck, turned around, and drove it back. Mary protested that she didn't have the fob. Despite Mary's frantic attempts to explain herself, deputies pressed on and prepared to put her through field sobriety tests. Now it was time to see if she could handle them. Mary asked about her husband, saying it had been 2 weeks. The officer assured her he was in the best hands possible, with the ambulance crew and another law enforcement officer, and that was all they could do right now. But there were some tests he needed her to do because she had told him she was driving. She protested that she wasn't driving, then corrected herself, saying she only drove from one spot to another. The officer confirmed that yes, she drove. He said he believed she was intoxicated and needed to put her through some tests. The officer directed Mary to a spot to begin the tests. He asked if she was looking at the tip of his finger. She said she was. He told her she wasn't looking at the tip of his finger. He said he was dead serious. She insisted she was looking at it, but it didn't look like it to him from where he was standing. He asked if she could see the tip of his finger. She said yes. He told her that's what he wanted her to do. Mary asked the officer to understand that her husband was there. He reminded her that he knew and that her husband was in the best hands he could be in. He directed her to do the next part of the test, telling her not to move her head. She said she wouldn't. Before starting the next test, the familiar deputy, someone Mary had known for decades, delivered the devastating news she had been dreading. Mary asked Billy if her husband was still alive. Billy asked if she wanted him to be honest with her. She said no, repeating it multiple times. Billy told her that her husband was deceased and that she was going to be charged with reckless homicide by motor vehicle at this point. He said he was just being honest with her. He had known her a long time, but that's what was going to happen. Mary insisted she wasn't driving. The deputy stepped back, giving Mary a brief moment to compose herself and catch her breath before beginning the series of balance and coordination tests. The officer told her to get ready and asked if she was ready. She said yes. He told her to begin, but Mary didn't complete the test correctly. The officer told her she was going to do 9 steps, not 3. She protested that she had only done 3. He explained that he had done 3 to demonstrate. She needed to do 9. He told her to do it again, going all the way out with 9 steps. He asked if she was ready. She said yes. He told her to begin. But again, Mary didn't follow the instructions properly. The officer told her she had to keep going the way he had explained. He asked her to put her heels together and toes together. He told her to step away from the truck and take 1 step. He said she could begin. He started counting for her, but had to stop her again. He told her she had to keep going until he told her to stop. He asked if she was ready. She said no. He told her to keep going and asked if she was ready to start over again. She said yes. He told her she could begin and to go ahead. He counted for her again, telling her to keep going. He continued encouraging her to keep going, counting higher and higher. Eventually, he told her he was going to have her do a PBT, a preliminary breath test. He asked her to blow into the little machine so he could see where her alcohol level was at. The officer asked if Mary had ever been arrested before for OWI, operating while intoxicated. She said never. He asked if she had ever done a PBT before or blown into a breathalyzer machine. She said no. She then asked about her husband, saying she didn't know his condition. The officer said that right after they were done, they would go over there. She begged him to please tell her. He explained that he wasn't the investigating officer or anything like that. He was just there assisting. After observing Mary's performance, the deputy determined he had enough for now and prepared to administer a portable breathalyzer to measure her blood alcohol level. The officer asked if she was okay or injured in any way. She said no and mentioned again that she had been home. The officer showed her a brand new straw for the breathalyzer. He took it out of the packaging. He knew she didn't want to go through this. He explained what the machine would do. It would show her things, but she wouldn't be touching it. She could put her hand down. It was going to take a blank test to show there was no alcohol near and that it was calibrated. It showed zeros. He told her to take a deep breath, put the straw in her mouth past her teeth, and blow steadily and continuously. Mary didn't blow correctly at first. The officer told her she was blowing too fast. She needed to blow long and steady, like blowing up a balloon. He asked if she was ready and told her to blow again. This time she did it correctly. Once she heard the little click, she was done. The officer asked if she knew what the legal limit was in Wisconsin. She said yes. He told her she was 100% correct. She mentioned that she owned the bar, so she knew. The result showed 0.298, nearly 3 times the legal limit. Mary asked if they were telling her that her husband was alive. An officer said he was just going to put handcuffs on her and asked her to turn around and place her hands behind her back. She begged them to please tell her. The officer said actually they could put the handcuffs in front. Mary continued asking them to please tell her. The officer said they had already told her what the situation was. When Billy had talked to her earlier, he had already explained everything. The officer said he didn't know any information beyond what Billy had told her. Billy had been very direct with what he told her. The officer didn't think he needed to clarify it any more than Billy already had. The officer asked Mary to remember what Billy had told her when she talked to him. He asked what Billy had said. Mary said Billy told her she did it, but she didn't. The officer confirmed that Billy said she would be charged with that offense. He explained that's what was going on. She was being placed under arrest for homicide by intoxicated use of a motor vehicle and OWI.
If you're enjoying this story, kindly do us a favor and subscribe to our channel. It is free and won't cost anything, but it means the world to us. We're just a small channel trying to grow. Thank you, and back to the video.
Mary reportedly registered as 0.298 on the breath test, nearly 4 times over Wisconsin's legal driving limit. With the results confirmed, deputies placed her in handcuffs and transported her to jail, while another officer began speaking with a nearby witness to piece together what happened. The officer spoke with a woman who confirmed she lived right there. She explained that, to begin with, she was just inside her house with her television on and everything else. She started hearing what sounded like yelling. She wondered what it was. She looked out the window and saw Mary walk literally past her window, on her side. All of that area was her property. She was walking right there. The woman said she walked past and she wondered what she was doing. So she went to the front door and walked outside, but she didn't see her at all. Then she saw the truck was there with the lights on. She figured that she and Donnie must have just gotten back home. She went back inside and was trying to put her kid to sleep. They walked upstairs and she started hearing yelling again. She looked out the window and saw Mary up the road, but she didn't see Donnie. She saw nothing in the road, just Mary. She thought she was drunk. She was screaming frantically, and then she saw somebody pull over. Her daughter stayed inside while she ran to the house, banging on the door looking for Donnie to tell him that Mary was up the road. There was no answer. Then she went to the bar, where Shell the bartender and some other people were. She asked where Donnie was. They told her he was up there. The woman insisted that wasn't right. That was Mary. She asked again where Donnie was. They kept saying he was up there. She insisted that was Mary, not Donnie. So he started heading up there and got halfway when he saw there was a body in the road. When he arrived at the scene, Billy Stanley was there doing CPR. The witness, who served as emergency management at that time, told Billy he could take over. Billy let him take over the CPR. Mary was standing over the body. When asked what she said, the witness reported she said nothing. She was just frantic. He didn't ask her anything. He just focused on taking over the CPR from Billy, who then made his calls. Mary was frantically moving around, and they almost had to yell at her to get back. Rewinding to earlier that day, surveillance footage from a small-town gas station in Forest County showed Mary Jane Terry buying a full case of beer. Mary and her husband Donald Britton Jr. had been married for over 25 years, a union marked by shared routines, local friendships, and a small circle of family. They were known in the community as a couple who had raised 2 children together, now grown, and had spent decades living just outside the town center. Despite the years, sources would later describe the marriage as turbulent, often marked by arguments, particularly when alcohol was involved. On this particular day, the couple's routine took a fateful turn. Just hours after leaving the gas station, Mary was caught on camera driving the same pickup truck that would soon be tied to her husband's death. Back at the sheriff's office, after giving Mary some time to regain her composure and sober up, the detectives were ready to ask pointed questions, hoping to piece together the events of that fateful day and understand exactly what led to the tragedy. Detectives asked Mary to tell them what she knew about last night. When asked what part to start with, they told her to start right at the beginning. If something had started earlier than last night or the day before, she should include that too. Mary said everything was fine until they went for a ride and got in an argument. He stopped and dropped her off at home. From the big window in her house, she saw him stopping in the middle of the road. So she went out there to see what was wrong, and he was laying there. She got in the truck and pulled it away. She was going to call 911, but the guy next door across the road called instead. That's what she remembered. Detectives noted that she mentioned we and he. They asked who they were talking about. Mary said Donnie and herself. Detectives confirmed that yesterday everything was going good. She said yes. They asked if they were at home when they went for a ride. She confirmed they did go for a ride. When asked where they went, Mary explained they always took the same route, through Blackwell, then around Trump Lake and back home. Detectives asked if it was like a back road. She confirmed it was a back road where they would drive around looking for deer. They asked if it was a gravel road or blacktop. She said blacktop. They confirmed she stayed on roads like County H in that area. She said yes, just around the lake. Detectives asked if anything happened on that ride. She said no. They asked who was driving when they went for the ride. She said she was. They asked if she had a driver's license. She did. They asked if Donnie had a driver's license. She said no. They asked if he drove sometimes anyway. She said yes. They returned to the question about the ride, confirming that nothing happened during it. She said no. They asked what happened after the ride. She said he dropped her off at home. She mentioned they had venison laying out all over, covered in paper, because they were going to cook out. Detectives noted she had mentioned there was an argument or something. She confirmed there was and said it was about their same stuff that they argued about every time. When asked what that was, she said she didn't know, stupid stuff. He would say something about her working or whatever, and then they would get into an argument. Mary admitted that she and her husband had gotten into an argument earlier that day, insisting that he had dropped her off at home before she ever saw him lying in the road. Despite her explanation, the investigators remained skeptical, sensing that her story didn't fully align with the evidence. Detectives asked about when he left. She said she saw which direction he went. He went around and then came by the house again and went toward the store. When asked what she meant by went around, she explained that he must have gone around town and come back through. Detectives asked if she thought he made like a lap already. She said yes, and then he came back. When asked if there was any reason why he would do that, she suggested just to take a ride around town, maybe to make sure she was still home or hadn't gone back to the bar. Detectives asked if the argument had something to do with the bar last night. She said it always had something to do with the bar. They acknowledged that since she was the owner, it took a lot of her time and energy. 30 years of doing it. She agreed it did. Detectives asked what she thought happened. She said she had no idea. She felt sick, like she was going to throw up. She honestly didn't know what happened. Detectives noted she was intoxicated. They asked if she was intoxicated now or had been earlier. She said she had been earlier. She called it stupid. They asked what they had been drinking. She said beer, Bud Light in bottles. When asked how many bottles she thought they had when they went for the ride, she seemed confused by the question. Detectives clarified, how many bottles did she have? 2? A case? 2 cases? She said they had about 25. When asked to clarify, she explained they had bought them at the gas station. Detectives asked if she had been drinking before he left. She said she had a few beers at work. They asked if he had been drinking. She said no. Detectives pointed out that she had said she was drunk last night. They asked if she drank regularly. She said yes. They asked in comparison to a normal night if she had drunk more, less, or the same amount. She said more. When asked if there was any reason for that, she said no, just the people who were in the bar that day. They asked who was in the bar. She said she had left roughly when the bartender arrived at 5 p.m. Detectives asked what time she thought she went to the bar yesterday. She said she always went around noon or 1 p.m., so she was socially drinking until about 5 p.m. But she thought she was more intoxicated than on a normal day. When asked how long she thought she was home, from when she got home from the ride until he left, she said she wasn't sure at all. The detective decided it was time to cut through the confusion and be completely straightforward with Mary. He pointed out that from her big window, she could see everything. She would have seen most of the damage to the truck from inside her house. The damage was obvious. It was the kind of damage where you would need to take the vehicle to an auto repair shop. It wasn't just minor damage. Mary said she didn't know what they were talking about. She honestly didn't know. She insisted she did not hurt him. She swore she didn't hurt him. There was no way she hurt him. The detective asked if there was any chance it was an accident. She said she didn't know. She kept saying she didn't know. But she knew she didn't hurt him. The detective said he just wanted her to know that he thought it was a possibility. He knew she knew her way around a beer bottle and that she was a good drinker. If she said she was drunk, that meant she was really drunk. If she didn't know certain things and didn't remember certain things, it just made him believe that much more that an accident had happened. He told her she wasn't a bad person. Mary cried out that she didn't do that. The detective said he thought there was an explanation for what happened, and he thought an accident was the best way to describe it. He noted that she had said she went to go get her phone, but she never got her phone. He asked why. She said she didn't know why. He asked if she went down to the storage units to talk to him, and the argument got worse. He asked what happened. She said she didn't know what happened. The detective offered his theory. He thought she went to just get in her truck and go home, and her husband came after her. Not necessarily to hurt her, but maybe it was to continue the argument. He thought the husband ran out and an accident happened. The case quickly escalated, and Mary was initially charged with first-degree intentional homicide in addition to homicide by intoxicated use of a vehicle. Facing the weight of these serious charges, she eventually accepted a plea deal, agreeing to plead guilty to the lesser charge of homicide by intoxicated use of a vehicle. With the first-degree homicide charge dismissed as part of the agreement, 50-year-old Mary Jane Terry was ultimately sentenced to 10 years in prison, followed by an additional 10 years of extended supervision, ensuring she would remain under strict legal oversight long after leaving the correctional facility. The outcome marked a grim resolution to a tragic incident that had shaken the quiet community of Forest County, leaving neighbors and family grappling with the consequences of a single night's deadly choices. Every crime leaves a trace, and we're here to follow them. Subscribe for more real, haunting stories you won't forget.